Peace. This is Wise for Wise Words Media. And today we're going to go with top 5 hip-hop cities or hip-hop regions with the biggest impact on hip-hop music. So, to start the list off, at number 5, we're going to go with Texas. Texas, from the early days of hip-hop, has had a big impact. You know, peace to Jay Prince. Jay Prince came through with his label, and he gave us one of the most historic groups who gave us one of the most historic songs of all time, and that's the Ghetto Boys. You know, Willie D, Bushwick Bill, and Scarface. And My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me has to be one of the greatest, not only one of the greatest songs, but one of the greatest videos of hip-hop history. You know, you got in that video, and what I love about that video is it wasn't, you know, sometimes rappers be all over the place. They songs talking about one thing, they video is showing you something else. But in this video, in this song, you see the visualizations are paired with everything, especially with Bushwick Bill's verse. Whatever Bill's talking about, you seeing visuals of it. You know, he talking about it was Halloween, kids are trick-or-treating, and you seeing the kids in their costumes running by. You know, like everything he was saying was visualized. And man, it is one of the dopest songs of all time, one of the greatest videos of all time. But you know, Houston also gave us guys like UGK. Then you move on a little further. Houston had this Houston Renaissance where they took over the game for a little while. You know, as far as, you know, what was out there on the radio and on television, Houston put it down around like that 04, 05, where that Houston sound was everywhere. And, you know, you had people like Mike Jones, Paul Wall, Slim Thug, what's the name, Lil Flip, you know, amongst others. You had a lot of people, they were making that Houston sound come back in a major way. And they put Houston on the map in a major way in the early 2000s. So, you know, you got to look at impact from Ghetto Boys all the way up to even present day. Houston still has some artists. And one of my favorite guys or rappers in history, based off what he did as a rapper and then transitioning after, is Chamillionaire. Chamillionaire took his money and invested his money and became one of the most successful rappers, well off. Taking his, and I love that, I praise that, because that's brilliant. I wish a lot of people would do that. A lot more people would do that instead of blowing their money on chains and jewelry and cars, stuff that depreciate. This brother put his money into businesses, and he is one of the most successful, well-off rappers. You know, people don't really talk about that much, man. He's somebody that deserves his flowers, and his story needs to be spoken about more. But I'm going to give Texas number 5. Let's move to number 4. Fourth biggest city or region in hip-hop history, I'm going to go with Atlanta. Atlanta has had a major imprint in hip-hop, and one of those foundational members that did it was the legendary group, one of the greatest groups of all time, Outkast. Outkast, just like the Ghetto Boys in like the 90s, when, you know, hip-hop was mainly East Coast, West Coast, they gave a strong voice for the South, and they were one of the most successful artists, even winning an award at the Source Awards as a Southern group. You know, like, they were one of the dopest groups. Andre 3000, a lot of people, they love him because he's charismatic. He's his delivery, his lyrics. But one of the things about his lyrics that make him one of the greatest dudes in hip-hop history is his song telling, man. That brother can tell a story. Like, when it comes to storytelling, he is one of the most underrated, best storytelling rappers in all of hip-hop history, man. You got to put that brother's name up there with as one of the greatest storytellers ever. And, you know, listen to Art of Storytelling. You know, that story he breaks down, oh my goodness. Ew. Miss Jackson, you know, he's got some joints, man, where he is just breaking down visuals, man, things you can vividly see in your mind. So, you know, Outkast, you have the Goody Mob, who along with Outkast formed the Dungeon Family. You had the Dungeon Family, you got Outkast. CeeLo Green, who comes from the Goody Mob, he went on to have a major career. You know, his sound crossed over, and he became like, with that song, You Drive Me Crazy, the Crazy joint, and he had a couple other joints that crossed over, became like top 40 joints. So, you know, CeeLo had an impact. One of my main men, man, that I love, Ludacris, man. Ludacris, that brother could spit his, he could spit his ass off. Damn, Luda is nasty, man. His first album is a classic. And yeah, Luda was one of the kings of hip hop from like 2001 to like 04, 05. Yo, not many could match Luda. So yeah, you had Luda, but then, you know, Atlanta had a time where it was just everything out of Atlanta was selling. And one of the foundational pioneer guys of that early 2000 Atlanta sound is T.I., man. T.I. is another dope lyricist, man. Atlanta got some lyricists. You know, they're not just trying to make you bounce and dance, and they got people that say, yo, I'm praying for help. Listen to that joint from T.I., man. Like, T.I. got lyrics, man. He's a dope MC. You know, you got guys that also splashed the scene. Your Atlanta splashed the scene, man. They had a big impact, man. You got guys like Jeezy, Gucci Mane. There's countless others, man, that just was big time. Waka Flocka, like guys that just was big time in hip hop and pushing hip hop forward. You know, as far as, you know, even if you somebody like me, I don't listen to the radio. And I don't watch BET or none of that. But at least not anymore. After the year 2000, I stopped. 2002, I stopped. But, you know, even if you not somebody like that, you somebody like me that don't really watch, you know, videos or listen to the radio. I'm more of an albums kind of guy. Yo, still, you can't deny what they did for this culture and the sound moving forward. So, yeah, Atlanta has a lot of great artists. A lot of great artists that did a lot in hip-hop. You know, Killer Mike. You know, they got some people, man. So, got to give Atlanta their flowers, man. Atlanta, number 4. Number 3, got to go with South Central. Got to go with that South Central region of California, man. Like, L.A., Compton, like, that area gave us NWA, which is arguably one of the greatest top 5 groups of all time, arguably top 5 of all time. Might even be universal consensus top 5 of all time. NWA, a group that gave you the greatest rapper in the West Coast history, Ice Cube. Ice Cube is the man. Ice Cube is one of the greatest rappers ever. Forget regions, ever. Ice Cube is nasty. His first 2 albums are monumental albums. Death Certificate, what? Yo. Oh, man. Yo, you know, NWA gave you Ice Cube. They gave you one of the greatest producers of all time, Dr. Dre. You know, Dr. Dre discovers Snoop Dogg. You got Snoop Dogg. So now you got dudes that are super against the grain. you know, they super anti-establishment, super anti-radio, and you know, and Dumb Brothers. But you also got from that NWA, from NWA to your Snoops, to your Ice Cubes, Dr. Dre, you also got underground rappers like Razzcazz. Razzcazz, Soul on Ice. Yo, Razzcazz got one of the illest albums of all time. Like, Razzcazz is ill, man. Exhibit. One of my personal favorite albums of all time is 40 Days, 40 Nights. Exhibit is nasty. Nasty. One of the dopest lyricists ever. One of my favorite group, well, actually, two of my favorite groups, you got Cypress Hill. Cypress Hill, and then one of my favorite super slept on groups, the Licks, the Alcoholics, man. They crate digging, their production, their samples, woof. Yo, not many can mess with the Licks when you want to talk about crate digging. Dumb Brothers be coming up with some dope samples, man. Like, and King T, they, LA, you know, the whole South Central area got some real dope artists, man. So California gets love, man. Even if you want to look at it on a broader scope, California, you know, you got the Bay Area, E40, you got, you know, you got, what's the name, Too Short. There's even, you know, you got Domino. You got some dudes, man. You got a lot of dudes. California, there's a reason why for a minute they took the game away from New York, man. In New York's prime. But then New York had to take it back. And we took it back with some of the names I'm about to mention next. City number 2. My hometown. That's how true it is. I'm driving into it right now. Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the second greatest city as far as impact and amount of artists coming out of it. You know, Brooklyn, one thing about us is that Brooklyn, we always, every generation, y'all can have the numbers, y'all can have the quantity. We giving y'all the quality. We coming through with just that one dude. You can line up about 5, that one dude that's just gonna be king. We did it in the 80s, Big Daddy Kane. You know what I'm saying? Big Daddy Kane paved way through for the next dude that's gonna be smashing things and is gonna be the king. Biggie Smalls, the great Notorious B.I.G. After Biggie passed the baton to Jay-Z. Jay-Z became the king from like the 2000s, you know, and late 90s all the way to the 2000s. Jay became the king. Then, you know, you got even as recent as like Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke, his sound, you know, he became one of the immortals. So Brooklyn always gave you those kings. But Brooklyn has so many other dope artists, man. You got your Master Aces, you got your OCs, you got so many different artists that put it down for Brooklyn on so many levels, man. Underground, crossover. There was so many dope Brooklyn artists that, you know, you get, of course you got Rockefeller dudes like Bleak, Source Money. You had Jaz-O who paved the way for Jay-Z. You know, Brooklyn had so many dope artists that, you know, Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes is a king. He's a king, and one of my favorite rappers of all time, Papoose. You know, Papoose to me is top 5 most witty rappers of all time. Top 5 most underrated rappers of all time, and the most clever rapper ever. When you got metaphors like, I had a baby 380 out of wedlock, yo, Pap is nasty. Pap is one of my favorite rappers ever. Top 10. I said it. You know what I'm saying? You got Joel Ortiz. There's so many dope rappers from Brooklyn, man. Uncle Murder. There's just so many dope Brooklyn MCs, man. Brooklyn is so talented. And in every generation, we hold it down. But the one place that tops Brooklyn, and only by a hair they do it. But if you a hip-hop head, man, you got to be like myself. I'm not going to be biased. I'm not going to lie just because I'm from Brooklyn. Truth is the truth. The number one place and the biggest impact in hip-hop history is Queens. Especially the holy city of Queensbridge. Queens, from the beginning of hip-hop, has given us some of the greatest. In fact, they gave us the greatest rapper of all time, which is NAS, saw the letters that spell Nas. Nas, number one of all time. Queens gave us Nas, especially the holy city of Queensbridge gave us Nas. The holy city of Queensbridge gave us Nas. Mobb Deep. They gave us the Juice Crew. MC Shan. Marley Marl on the production. Marley Marl's production was so ill that I remember, I forgot what documentary I was watching. It could have been Production Kings. But Marley was talking about how one time Russell Simmons ran up in Def Jam's offices and was banging on the tables. How is it I give you guys $1 million studio and he's making beats in a projects, in the first floor in a projects, and his sound is crazy? What are y'all doing? So, you know, Marley had the production, man. You had Craig G, Keep It Queens, or let's keep it Queensbridge still. You had the youngest member of the Juice Crew, who ends up becoming a legend himself, Tragedy Gaddafi. Tragedy Gaddafi was the young guy amongst the Juice Crew, you know, doing the knowledge. And, you know, Marley gave him a chance, and he went out and made the most of his chance, becoming the intelligent hoodlum. Then, years later, switched up his style, reinvented himself, and became Tragedy Gaddafi. And he gave us one of the greatest hip-hop groups of all time, Capone and Noriega. Capone from the holy city of Queensbridge. You know, you got Cormega, one of the dopest MCs from the holy city of Queensbridge. Come on, man. You got Roxanne Shante from the holy city. There's so many artists from the holy city of Queensbridge, man. You even got underground artists that's nasty. You got ACD. You got Prince AD, Killer Shah, one of the dopest, raspiest voice, grimy voices. You want to talk about grimy voices? You got Twin Gambino. You got the infamous Mob, Godfather, Nitty. Come on, man. Screwball. Who killed Rudy? Who shot Rudy? Yo, Screwball had Mayor Giuliani tight. Come on, son. But we could go the whole Queens, man. LL Cool J, LL, 50 Cent. Come on, man. Like, nah, this ain't even fair sometimes. Large Professor, Large Pro. Got Large Professor, man. One of the greatest, most slept on, dopest producers / MCs. Large Pro. Come on, man. Holy City of Queens. We got Run DMC, one of the first crossovers, one of the first dudes that was larger than hip hop, man. These dudes became cultural Adidas, Shelltop Adidas, Rock This Way, making songs with rock groups, going on tour with rock groups. Come on, they were larger than hip hop, man. Holy city of Queensbridge, man. Queens. The borough of Queens. Gave us some of the greatest ever to do it. Cannot deny it, man. I don't care where you from. You could be from Brooklyn like me. If you're a real hip-hop head, you gonna give it up, man. You gonna give it up to Queens. Nas, Prodigy, Havoc, Mobb Deep, Cormega, Tragedy Gaddafi, Capone Noriega. Come on, man. We could keep firing off the hip, man. MC Shan. You got LL. You got, man, listen, Royal Flush. Mike Geronimo. And I hate what just happened between, Mike Geronimo and Irv Gotti, but Irv Gotti. Murder Inc. Ja Rule. Come on, man. That's on all levels, man. From underground all the way up to crossover. Queens, man. Queens get the money, man. Peace to Queens. But yo, on that note, I'm about to arrive to work. Let me know what y'all think about my top 5 cities and regions in hip-hop history. And give me your top 5. Let's build. Peace.